she does say that, I thought your reaction, Devin, to my news was immature. She had
Yeah,
to.
that was like the main thing she wanted
She wanted to say it,
have,
to lay it out.
in the conversation.
And Devin said, well, I think it worked out for us the way it was supposed to be, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much for him to really.
He didn't apologize for his reaction or anything.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with A Fine Podcast with your hosts, Joseph and
Amanda.
Today we'll be reviewing Season 8, Episodes 10 through 12 of Love is Blind.
That's right. We're here today to review the latest 3 new episodes.
Yes, fresh off the press, where we see our couples approaching altar day.
Yes, so we're excited to get into that. We had a pretty good weekend. We started out watching Love is Blind, and we got to hang out with our family members, which was really nice. We got to see our new niece, who is a month and a half old, and she is beautiful, and she came here to visit, and it was fun hanging out with all the family and dogs. And we played some good video games. We played some Mario Kart.
Yeah, it was a nice time.
And Mario Party.
Yes, all the Mario themes. Yeah, it was a good time. And
let's talk about how many times you won.
I'd like to stay humble in my winnings.
No, he's very humble, but he is very, very good at video games. All things video games. All because he started playing video games at the ripe age of
2 years of age.
2.
Yes.
And do you think that has helped in your coordination skills?
Absolutely. In all things of life.
Yes.
It is
pretty
superb
impressive
because of that.
Yes. It's fun playing with him. Not if you're trying to win something, but if you're trying to just enjoy what you're playing, and also just so you can witness the amazing.
All right, I wouldn't
Joseph.
take it that far. Not to that level, no. But
he started to challenge himself, started waiting at the starting line of the Mario Kart races for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds to still get first place.
yeah. Well, I didn't get the 30. I got up to 25. I didn't get 30.
Oh,
but yeah.
Darn. Maybe you can work up to that soon.
Yeah. So anyway, we will go back to get in on the action of where our couples have been left off.
Do you think any of our couples are playing video games in paradise, or are they playing video games alone right now?
There's a couple alone, clearly from what we've seen unfold in this week's episodes.
Yeah, so let's get into the couples, and then we will go into the little reunion party. And then also we saw wedding dress shopping, suit shopping, and Sarah and Ben's lead up to their altar moment.
Yeah, so we saw quite a bit here. I mean, well, I should say of some couples. Some couples we saw very little of and really didn't gather that much new information on them. And
Yes. Do you want to talk about Taylor and Daniel first?
yeah, because they would be the fastest to go through because
There are only a couple lines here.
There's like nothing that happened between them.
Gosh, they seem like ever since the Instagram moment, they're the perfect couple now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've come along well, and I mean, yeah, they really haven't had any issues yet other than that, which was really not even much of a problem, but
right,
or at least an issue with their relationship. But yeah, they've kind of just been smoothing. I almost feel like they've, by the end of it, you know, they almost look like the Garrett and Taylor of. Well, I guess Garrett and Taylor had one little mishap during their thing Word.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. They had a little tiny mishap moment, the same thing as the Instagram
Yeah, but at
moment.
least I guess his was more of like a mistake on his part,
Yeah.
where this thing was
This was way more innocent. It's
kind of
like,
blown up
you
out of.
followed me.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with like an ex-girlfriend or something like that, because that's what Garrett's was, right?
Right. He someone sent him a message on Instagram and he entertained
Liked it.
it, and yeah. But this is nothing to that sort. But so I was but yeah, they've looked a lot. They've been very uneventful. Which I mean, there's been no issues, so there's just nothing to document or
No, they
show
look
of their
like
footage.
a
So
wonderful couple.
yeah,
I mean, they played putt-putt in this episode. They
the ice skating.
Yeah, the ice skating looked really cool, and then the ice skating date that they had where they ate dinner on the ice. They laid down the carpet and then the table on top, and that looked really fun.
Yeah, which I was kind of wondering. I wonder because they have to walk out there. They don't even give them like a carpet that goes all the way to the table.
Yeah, Taylor looked like she was walking really slow to not
Well, yeah,
slip.
she's like in heels trying to walk on ice. That seems a little strange. And then I kind of wondered too, like to serve the food and get the plate ready. Did all the people prepping for that have to like just walk on ice?
Maybe
Or
they just had like a they put the table with the food already on top on a machine with wheels, and then they pushed it.
oh yeah, they could have done that actually. They just slid it out there.
Yeah. So in this episode, they also took their own Christmas pictures together, had a little professional Christmas photo shoot because they are making Christmas ornaments as wedding favors for their guests.
Yes, so if they are mm, genuine with their
Christmas love.
yes enjoyment of Christmas.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed their love for Christmas portrayed here, and they seem like a really great couple so far. Our new favorite couple?
I would say I mean, they're definitely like they make it. There's no issues. There could be
That's
some
our
issues,
prediction, right? They're
but
going to say yes.
yeah, there's definitely no drama there. And
Remember the crying moment with Taylor and her dad
yeah,
in the
well,
preview?
also seeing how these episodes unfolded and like the previews leading up to this, especially for like the reunion part, they really tried to like, which is fine. I mean, it's a preview, it's a clickbait essentially, right? I mean, it's to draw your people in, but it's very like misconstrued for how things unfolded. So I definitely think this preview is very much kind of in the same manner. And I mean, I said it last time, but the shot they took of Taylor where she's crying in the arms of her dad is definitely like the moment where she's about to walk down the aisle, or it's like the first time the dad seeing her in her gown and everything.
Yeah, it looks like joyful tears.
Yeah, it's definitely not like he
Oh,
says
I'm so
no or
sad.
something
Right.
to that effect. So
Yeah, I think they make it.
yeah, I mean they're like a given because they've both already been open about that there's nothing holding them back, and yeah, so they're definitely I would say they're the easiest to know at this point. Like it's definitely I would say a given unless some catastrophe happens between now and then, but the probability of that seems very small.
Agreed. So, speaking of couples that we thought were going to make it, how about Joey and Monica? We open up with Monica's sister, and she is a photographer, and she is taking pictures of Joey and Monica together, which they showed little snippets of the pictures, and they look really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean clearly I'm sure this was like almost a way to well, I guess the sister was kind of trying to be nice about it too, of maybe
I hope so. I wonder if she
making
charged her because she said, "Hey, clients," when she saw them.
I can't imagine
I
that
hope
she
not.
charged her. Well,
She
mainly
owes them at this point.
yeah, I mean I can't imagine she was charged because she's basically getting free marketing by Love is Blind airing
Maybe that's the only
these
reason why she
moments.
did the photo shoot. First, I thought maybe she did it out of the kindness of her heart because she was so jealous the last episode and talking down about the whole thing. Maybe she felt bad. But then you're right. I mean, they showed the pictures on air, so this is free publicity for her.
Yeah, I don't think they actually said her company name or anything, but I mean, obviously, people probably local to Minnesota would be able to find her, which is really her target audience anyway. But
Right.
so I don't know. I don't think it was like totally purely for that. I think she almost probably was doing it out of a maybe of like let's go back to square one and kind of restart, our introductions and kind of push back what we or forget what we you know discussed earlier about Joey and
Yeah, I
let's
think
just have
she
it. Let's do a clean
felt
slate
bad.
and you know learn to get to know him versus all the presumptions she stated before. So
Right. So Monica says to her sister in front of Joey after the photo shoot, you didn't give Joey a fair shake the first time. And then her sister says, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't really know him too much, or I didn't at that time. And, after this photo shoot, I feel better about the situation and I feel better about you too. And he's a nice guy." So now it's like she's turning herself around from the previous episodes.
yeah, I mean she seems to be more trusting of them being a relationship now versus before, and
For the most
I
part.
right. I think she's still hesitant about the speed of everything.
But yeah, so after the nice comments, then she says, well, Monica and we're sleepers. The only thing I worry about is the energy. You have such high energy and we don't as sisters in our family. We don't. Which Monica had a lot of energy this season, so
Well, I don't really get the. I mean, I mean, which I think Monica responded very well to. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like that statement by her was just strange because I mean, yeah, it's not like he's running 24/7 like that. I'm sure he has
down moments
days or
too.
time where he's not that. I mean, he obviously needs to have like kind of that level while they're on their dates and everything.
But
I
go
mean,
back to the reveal. The two of them had matched energy in that.
yeah, and I think you have it in your bursts, and sure, she could burst for great moments like that, and then still nap or what. I mean,
I
I
just
don't
think
know. Like,
it's a pretty weird excuse to say, yeah, you know, we're just low energy
yeah, the comment
girls.
was just very strange because I mean, uh, I don't think she's that much different than anybody else. I mean, it's
But besides that, it seemed like she had to get her little jab in there.
yes, yeah, it's
And
like
then
she
she wrapped
still
it
has
up
some
nicely after that, too.
minor aggressions for for them, but
Yeah, she says, "I thought some things were phony, but now I think he's kind, authentic, and I think you both are in love." And she really likes him, and she can see him being a part of her family and gives her blessings. So ended it good.
yeah, so she's finally on the same page, rooting for them, and yeah, I mean, family wise, she was kind of the only one setting them back. So now that that obstacle has been cleared, they're in the get go, and are they clear for takeoff and for their marriage? And I mean, they still really have not had any issues. They're still very strong, and they still seem very genuine with their connection. And
It seems like the only issue they have now. So they had a date in the conservatory building together. And Monica, in an interview, says, Joey hasn't told me he's 100% in yet.
right, which so he seems kind of reserved because she mentions she kind of they talk about like love language, and she does kind of like the
Physical
I
touch
don't
is
yes
what
that
she
one,
said.
thank you.
But
And
this is their one little issue. And Joey isn't so touchy.
he just seems reserved where he doesn't express much, and he doesn't, I guess, yeah, touch much either for her. So she wants
Touch
a little
much?
bit more. Yeah.
I like that.
She just wants a little bit more, I guess, because she'll get in her head otherwise of whether he's well, clearly, like she's stating in the talking head here of, you know, maybe I don't know if he's fully into this or not, or if it's still just kind of just a dating thing and not so much of a marriage thing. But I mean, he hasn't really showed. I mean, even in that when she, you know, confronted him about that stuff. I mean, he mentioned that he was working on this and trying to be more in that
And
mannerism.
she said, I definitely noticed.
Yeah,
Your work hasn't gone unnoticed. That was really kind of you to take that into consideration and work on it.
I almost think it's almost. I think the physical touch part. I think is fine now. It's almost like she wants the. I can't remember if she mentioned like the words of affirmation or something, but it's almost like she wants that part of it now. I can't remember if she said that was like her other thing, but more so because I think she's just really almost wanting now that to hear that I'm ready to get married to you. I'm ready to
I'm
go all the way.
100% in this.
Yeah, I I I think she
Which,
just wants
why
to
hasn't he
hear
said
him
that at
say
this
that.
point?
Which I would yeah. I mean, it's like this is their last date before wedding day, so
But then they compliment each other on their good communication. They said they can always talk about things, and that's the best thing about them as a couple.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, which I kind of thought that was interesting because it sounds like she wants to hear this last little thing. I guess they pretty much communicate well for the most part, but it is almost like she's like, just tell me this last thing, please, just to like, you know, tie the bow in the knot and we can seal the deal. But
Right. Or maybe it's just she needs to hear it, like you said, like, I'm 1,000% going to marry you. And since she's not hearing like those words exactly, she just has doubts in her mind that, I mean, maybe he could say no. There's a chance that anybody could say no on this day. And is it
yeah,
too good to be true?
well, yeah, I mean, I think,
I think your mind just starts playing tricks on you too at some point.
oh, sure, the more you think about it,
It's a
you
nerve
don't want to think
wracking
about it that
experiment.
much, but because it's going to eat you alive. But
I think
yeah,
she's overthinking a lot of it and she's
oh, for sure. But, and I think too, I mean, she doesn't want to show up on wedding day and, then him say no. And then it'd be,
but that would be like
well,
such a low
why?
possibility, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't think she just wants that to happen. So I think that's why she wants this last, like, just please say this to, you know, nip it in the bud and we're done.
So do you think they're going to say yes?
They've definitely not had any arguments or, you know, discussions that are kind of deal breakers for them. So I, something would have to happen, you know, in the next episode that's just catastrophic, I think, for it to not to happen. I've not seen anything yet that would say to me that they're not going to make it.
Yeah, I would think that they are both going to say yes.
Yeah.
So we will see what happens with them.
Because I would think definitely, yeah. If something, unless there's like something that happens before, but if they were just to show alter day and then he says no, I mean that would kind of seem like a total blindsided left field, thing. But
Right.
anyway, we will see.
He would totally shock everybody. Was he pretending the whole time then? Because that's a really good actor.
Yeah, that would definitely start coming up, and people would be questioning that, I'm sure, and then a
It
lot of people would probably be devastated too, because yeah, I think a lot of people probably
seems
think
he's so
he's
genuine and we've bought into
yeah,
this. So,
yeah.
yes. Let's hope everything is the way
Be genuine, Joey.
that it should be. Be genuine. He is genuine. We got to believe in him.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd say it would be.
I would say the only way maybe they say no is not through some like tragedy thing. It's if they decide the two of them aren't romantic enough or something. Like if they were just so friendly and not romantic,
Yeah,
then
that's a
maybe
good point. Because I mean, you do see them. That was the one. I guess that could be like one thing is they're always very bubbly with each other. I mean, you don't see all their conversations though, but it's maybe they haven't had enough deep conversations, or maybe he does potentially just see it more of like that. So yeah, that could maybe be something. But
maybe that's where the physical touch conversations
right,
coming into play.
it, yeah, yeah. So that could possibly, but I would lean that he would. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Let's move on to Devin and Virginia, our monotone couple.
Well, yeah. So like in the beginning, you really kind of thought the way she behaved was just maybe what like not so genuine or just
Talking about
estranged.
sleepers, what Monica's sister says. It seems like the two of them have a sleeper personality. I'm almost thinking Devin is acting like Virginia now, to where they're both like, hi, hey, yeah,
Yeah, I
thank
mean they're
you.
very.
Everything's great.
I mean, I think that both of them are just very. Yeah, they're not very
Sleepers.
bubbly, gregarious, or anything like that. Yeah, they're very just.
But they're not really getting deep into conversations or things to I don't know. It's strange sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely. I mean, watching them evolve or grow versus Joey and Monica, right? I mean, they're kind of on the opposite ends of the spectrum of how they they operate. They're much more
Joey and Monica,
reserved and
super high energy. Devin and
yeah.
Virginia,
But I think
low
that
energy.
I don't think that's anything wrong for them, and I think I don't think it's something that's gonna cause them to drift apart or not say yes. I think they look genuine. I mean, I think that's just how they
I mean,
are.
I'm not saying they're not
And
genuine. I'm
yeah,
saying
right.
it's just a little
I mean, yeah, they're just very because
reserved, I
there
guess is a
are
good word.
there's kind of moments where they're not really talking a whole lot, or they're just kind of in each other's presence, or they're in each other's presence, but that's it. There's not really a whole lot of
Or
conversation going
maybe
on.
it's they don't want to say a whole bunch in front of the cameras, so they're just being quiet
Maybe,
for the
yeah,
most part.
yeah.
But we do
I mean, I feel like they're almost comfortable with each other though, to the point to where they don't have to say much and they don't feel awkward though. I feel like that maybe that's it.
yeah, but you've never met this person before and it's like week 3 and you're about to get married to them. So
Yeah.
now's not the time to be like,
Well,
well, I feel so
yeah.
comfortable. I'm just not going to say anything to them.
Yeah, I mean they're having the conversations that they need, but there's not a lot of fluff
Talking,
in the middle between
talking,
those
just say talking.
conversations. Yeah. Okay.
So they do start to talk about some topics. So Devin asks Virginia how she feels about him on a physical level. She says, I like it. And then Virginia asks him to ask her some hard questions. Come on, ask me some hard questions. And he says, you know, I just feel like I know everything. And then she says, well, how about politics? And I guess they haven't talked about this at all yet. And then Devin says, oh, yeah, well, I'm not big on it. Kind of like Ben's answer. And then Virginia says, yeah, well, I vote Democrat typically. And then Devin says, well, do you vote with faith in mind? And she says, she does. But she also thinks about different rights and different things like that too. And then they talk about abortion. She's pro abortion. Devin goes back and forth on the abortion issue. But they come to some sort of agreement there. What do you think about this whole conversation? At least Virginia's starting some conversation about this.
Yeah, I mean I think his response of well, we've talked about everything. I guess this part was a little Well, I don't think you have, but you haven't had enough time to go over everything yet. But
Virginia asks if they will vote differently on election day. Devin says, well, would you be okay if we did vote differently on election day?
yeah, so I guess this was kind of, I think, the first major divide, or at least first thing that they do,
Have
I think, have
something
opposite views on.
a little bit. Yeah.
So yeah, this could could create a divide in them and their relationship, going forward. Yeah, so this put a little bit of a concern for me on whether they'll make it
Yeah. So,
long term.
right.
They may make it short term, but long term, I would have questions or be unsure about. So
Well, Virginia says, that's fine, but I would hate for us to be on completely different sides of the spectrum on things. Devin says, my family typically votes Republican. Virginia says, my family typically votes Democrat. Is there going to
yeah,
be like a family divide with the political Republican versus Democrat?
yeah. I mean, it definitely.
Does it matter that they vote differently? That they all vote differently?
I mean, yeah. I think it could definitely be.
Or do you think they'll have like arguments on holidays or different times where both their families get together?
Yeah. I mean, is this gonna? I think block them for wedding day
I don't
from
think
saying
so.
yes? No, I think they'll still say yes. But I do think this is something that will be a point of contention going down, the road for them. Because yeah, future family events or etc. Other things that come along, I think it could kind of create a stake that's just gonna dig deeper in between their relationship over time and yeah. But yeah, no, I think they'll go short term. They'll do it, but I think this would be like you could see in a couple of years or something where they finally part ways or something.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's not big enough yet to be an issue, but
It could be a
I think
building
it
up
it will
issue thing.
grow. Yeah, if I had to guess.
But if you really want to stay together and you really love each other, all that stuff probably shouldn't matter at the end of the day, but it could build stress, I guess, too, right? So,
Yeah.
especially if there's like
Well, the
majorly
family
opposing
involvement's going to
views, too.
be a big thing as well
Yeah.
because it's going to become much more involved than just the two of them. So,
Yeah. So let's focus on the prenup conversation. So they make such a big deal about this being a dramatic moment for the two of them. Virginia says he hasn't signed it yet. Devin says, I have to get my family's lawyer to look at it. And then they play like all this dramatic music that makes you think like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with this prenup? Is the lawyer going to tear it apart? Is Devin's mom going to be so upset with it? And then at the end of the day, Devin says, yeah, it really was as straightforward as you said. My mom's comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with it. And here's my signature. And that was it. And there were zero issues with the prenup.
yeah.
After all that buildup, it almost makes you think like, wow, they had to build up that moment for dramatic suspense because maybe they don't have a lot of drama going on. So,
Yeah, I mean, it was their biggest point of contention that you knew about. And I mean, this was where, like, in the preview, she throws down the papers and then he gets up and it looks like, they get into a huge argument or something here from that. And then, yeah, there really was nothing at all. And
at all.
this was very straightforward.
So they go on a special date too, right before their marriage day. And they go on a horse and carriage ride. And then they get served food at dinner. And Devin gives Virginia a gift of a basketball and two jerseys for them with their last name on it. Or was it their last name? I think so.
Yeah, it was Team Buckley.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, that was a pretty creative idea to
Their wedding and high
come up
school
with.
colors.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a big testament too of like, they had their education there, and then their life is going to continue there since he would like to try to continue with like the coaching program there and etc. So yeah, it had like a lot of it represents their past, their present, and future. So,
Yes. Yeah, so that was pretty creative. And
yeah,
Virginia was touched by the gift. And that was it for this couple. So our prediction is they will say yes.
yeah, yeah. I would say yes. I think they'll make it. I think they would probably still be together by reunion. I think it would be something later down the road where it could. But I mean, I don't know. I guess obviously you could say that with like any of the relationships.
Yeah,
But
we
I mean,
should do a prediction like
but
long haul and short term.
but I would be a little more skeptical of the long haul.
Maybe when they start talking more, getting to know each other a little bit better too.
Yeah.
But maybe when the cameras leave, they'll feel more comfortable to open up about more subjects too. And
Yeah, or they I don't know. I mean,
but that could tear them apart too because they didn't fully get to know each other
yeah, but I mean the
during the
whole thing, I
experiment.
mean, if you're really that worried about the cameras, then I guess why would you be inclined to do the show then? I think it's just that is just really how they act. I don't think there's
I don't think there's ill intent.
right, yeah, no, and but as far as I don't know if they're being reserved because they're on camera, but
Or if they're just reserved and
yeah, I don't think
not
they'd hold
talkative.
a bunch of conversations, but to the part where like Virginia did ask, what other conversations do we need? Like, that was obviously a huge indicator that she's got a couple in mind that she's wanting him to
Yeah,
bring up.
because they haven't talked about anything yet.
Yeah,
Which that's a recipe for long-term disaster, right?
yeah. So there could definitely be some things that do get brought up later that maybe probably should have been brought up like beforehand.
Which I find it interesting she asks the question like what else do you want to talk about? When he did start asking the question like how do you feel physically about me and she's like you're fine. And then she goes, "Anyway, what else do you want to ask me?" Do you think there's more to that? I don't know, maybe there wasn't more to that. I can't figure them out. We'll see.
Yeah,
But I do think they most likely say yes on their wedding day.
yeah, yeah. I don't think there's enough yet that's ripping them apart from
Saying yes.
cutting things off.
I mean, right now it seems like they get along well. They have the same type of vibe going on.
Yeah.
And they're both very cool with everything, calm about everything. So, just the nature and the way they're handling this is very similar to one another. So, yeah, we will see for sure in the next episode.
Yeah.
But let's go on to another couple, Sarah and Ben.
Yes. Yes. Definitely I guess the weakest remaining.
The weakest remaining couple.
Yeah.
But we'll go over
Yeah.
our other couple too. So it starts out with them connecting on the TikTok that the girl posted about Ben in the previous cliffhanger. And Ben says, it was an insignificant moment together. And Sarah says, I can't discredit what the women said, but, we're all only human and let's just move on from this. This is not a big deal in the long run. So,
yeah, which turned out to be nothing, which was good and
another build up moment, and it really wasn't anything significant there.
yeah.
Then we see Sarah's sister and her partner, and they go out to eat with Sarah and Ben. And they have a lot of conversations here, a lot of like tense conversations. And it seemed that her sister's partner talked more than her sister, or at least got more airtime than her sister did, which I would expect her sister to like try to get in as many words as possible with her sibling getting married.
Yeah, right. The sisters doesn't seem very
She seems
as involved
quiet.
as much with the discussions and whatnot. It seems like the other person's really driving things
Hmm.
with it with just asking Ben and Sarah questions and whatnot.
So they talked about being financially conservative and socially liberal.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That was their big like buzzwords that they used. And this they're like this interaction between them all kind of made me realize more so that I think a lot of Sarah's mindset and thinking was heavily involved by her sister
And her partner.
and the other person. Mainly because towards the end, Ben leaves. They always have like the scene where he's like, I'm gonna get more drinks or
Is he
something.
really going to the bathroom or going to get more drinks? Or do
Yeah,
they
that's like,
always have this signature moment where the person has to just step away so they can get the dirt
yeah,
with
it's like
the
the
remaining
weird moment
parties?
where the person's like has to excuse
But they
themselves
look all
basically.
chipper, like, I can't wait to get back to talk to you guys, but I'm just going to run off to the restroom or
Yeah.
go refill our drinks or something. And then they like look and wait for that person to leave. And then they're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like this much kind of weird transition of things,
So their moment of talking about Ben.
but yeah, it was just very much she was really grilling Sarah about it, and Sarah seemed a little not super defensive or like really kind of going head to head in their discussion. She seemed a little more like submissive during the things and
Which Sarah
trying to defend herself more defensive than kind of offensive with the whole thing. And
Sarah doesn't seem like a submissive person, but then you place her in front of her sister and her sister's partner, and she totally changed
right, yeah, it
that.
was the dynamic of what we've seen in the pods and everywhere else. It was just like a total different side of her. So that kind of made me think
Unrecognizable. Yeah.
a lot of her has been formed from them and their
And she seemed very heavily focused on like topics that she thought would make her sister and her partner like happy that she was talking about, but then they weren't impressed by it. She was like, yeah, we talked a lot about gay rights and this and that, and then her sister's partner corrects her on something she's even saying about it.
yeah.
I forget exactly what she said, but it was, instead of being appreciative that Sarah cares so much about their situation and others that are like them, um, she's just worried about correcting Sarah on something she said and being a little critical of something she said. So that part shocked me.
Well, yeah, and Sarah's very much like tiptoeing around what to say and how to respond to certain things, and
It didn't look comfortable.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so they had this. So yeah, I don't think it where really went. I feel like Sarah thought things went a lot better than kind of what based on what the other people's interactions didn't seem to go as well as she thought things went well as well.
Right. They have hesitation. They're worried about it.
Yeah, they're definitely not. They don't seem approving of Ben, which
But
we see later on that they definitely do not.
yeah.
So
So that was interesting. Then we segue into Sarah going to church with Ben, which this was an interesting scene. They were up high away from a lot of the churchgoers. I'm assuming so they could film inside the church. I think you mentioned that, how high up they were sitting.
well, it was more so just that they got all these cameras in there to film during the service, but yeah, they go together to this service, and Sarah seems a little hesitant with things, and
then at the end, she says, I can't really relate to the message right now, but I will definitely come again and give it another try.
Yeah, and that she was open to, she said she couldn't see herself probably going, every week, but could go occasionally.
Then let's fast forward to their final date before their wedding day. They're outside in what looks like an igloo date.
Glamping.
Yes, glamping.
Which is like luxury camping where you're not in a tent, but you're like in a
an igloo.
Yeah.
No, but with all the
technology and a lot more.
That's how I would like to go if I were ever.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. I said this
forced to go.
This would be your type of. This is what you would be doing.
Absolutely,
if
have a actual bed in there. That's great.
No, just a flat tent.
Nope.
In the
a
dirt.
Bed.
Oh, the dirt.
Someplace I can go in my little bubble where I can shut the door and then the mosquitoes can not be there with me.
Yeah, you got a tent. You just zip it up. That's all the mosquito proof.
Never. That sounds like torture.
That's great.
No, we're going glamping if we ever go. That'd be great.
You could go that, and I'll experience nature the way.
We've got to get the name of Sarah and Ben's
tent
company, and we're gonna get that. You. What are you talking about? Yes. Why be tortured if you could have some sort of
tortured? No.
If I have time off, I'm not going to spend it going to sit in a mound of dirt with staying up all night because I'm uncomfortable being eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Oh, that's great.
Okay. You go do that. I will go get a hotel. I would support you in that.
Oh, gee, thank you.
During some hours.
In your far off distance.
Yes. Well, I'm at the spa in the hotel.
Yeah.
You can go on your dirt mound and get eaten alive. No. I will come with you for some hours.
Make my dinner from a campfire.
But I will be sleeping for 8 hours in the hotel across the street.
All right.
It just doesn't sound great. But their date looked great. But then they talked more about things. So Ben says, I'm pretty confident that we're going to end up together. And then Sarah talked about church again, and she said she listened to a service that day, and she doesn't know their stance overall on LGBTQ from that service she listens to. And she asked him about it, and he says he doesn't know, or, maybe I don't remember. And she says, well, how could you not remember? Something like that. And then she goes on to say in the service that she listened to, she didn't agree with what they said. And Ben says, yeah, there's some pieces I don't agree on either. And she said, I'd be interested in trying something different. Ben says he'd be open to that, but he does feel that he is connected to his church currently. But he will go to Pride with her, and he also believes in equality. These are all the questions that Sarah has for Ben about church. Is he open to trying a new church? About equality and pride and all these subjects that she's kind of been bringing up the whole time. How do you feel that she's still questioning all of this stuff the night before everything?
I don't know, it seems like there's a lot of focus on these things, which weren't like directly related to like their connection and things. Yeah, I mean, she's just very heavily involved with focusing on this versus, or this seems her biggest main point of contention. And he hasn't seemed to respond very negatively or like a way that she seems to would be disapproving of, but
he keeps saying, yes, I believe in equality. Yes, that's important to me. Yes, 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 every time she asks. So
yeah, but then she still keeps bringing it up. So I really don't even understand.
Like she wants more.
What is why she keeps bringing this up? It's just like the vote. It's the most forefront discussion that she wants to like just constantly have.
Yeah, and I think she keeps bringing it up because to her it's almost not enough to just say yes, yes, yes. What she wants to hear is, "Okay, I'm going to schedule us tickets for the next Pride event and I already have a list of churches that mention their stance very clearly and let's get on this now." Like it has to be like his very big passion to match her level of passion on it for her to be
Yeah, I
fully
mean, she definitely
satisfied.
wants someone at the same level of energy of how she is with things, and he doesn't seem to be on her level of things, and I think that does make her have doubts with everything.
Yeah. So then after this conversation, she says to Ben, "Do you have anything to ask me?" And he says, "I'm pretty tired. I had a long day at work. I'd like to go lay down
Yeah, which this was like,
now."
I, I don't know, and this is where I think it's not going to be great. It seems like she's going to. It almost seems like now he's starting to maybe get tired of talking about this all the time or always having to discuss it. Basically, for him to give that response, I don't know if he really, maybe that just kind of agitated him and he'd just rather go to bed and
Yeah,
not
I
have anything
think
else.
it took the wind out of him, like talking about this conversation that they've talked about every time we've seen them.
Yeah, because he definitely seems more off put after this. And yeah, he just doesn't want to.
It's like I'm exhausted now.
Yeah. Yeah, so this seems a little.
That didn't sound good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this would be something that would not. It seems like it's just going to keep happening, and then he's definitely going to get worn down and tired of bringing this up, and then it's going to turn into an argument, which I really don't even know why, but
Yeah, I really don't think they're a good fit for each other.
yeah, which
Talk about
yeah.
wedding day.
So well, yeah, so it's like so they're the first ones that we actually see for wedding day, and
And the only ones so far.
yeah, well, and then I actually was starting to think as well. So they were the cliffhanger for this. They were the cliffhanger at the last end of the episodes last week
Mhm.
with the whole TikTok thing.
And now they're the cliffhanger again.
Now they're the one for this. Yeah.
On their wedding day, it looks like, they both actually look pretty confident at the start that they're both going to say yes. And till we see the sister and her partner, and they're talking and they want her to say no or do what's right for her, pick herself, and that sort of thing. Like they're bringing the energy down a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, they threw a ton of doubt. I feel like they're totally trying to get in her head because they're constantly seem to be like, "Well, are you really sure?" And wow, this is moving fast. And
To where she looks so comfortable starting the day, and then after all of their doubt, when they're all getting ready and she's getting her hair done and they're making all these comments, then she has an interview, Sarah, and then she says, "My heart is telling me to do it, but my brain is saying no at this point."
yeah, so I mean, she looks very confused and doesn't really even know what she's going to say at this point.
So let's talk about the musicians.
Yeah, they royally messed up the entrance for her walking down the aisle.
So they're playing canon, they play the first two notes. The two musicians are off tempo from each other. They're playing super fast from what they're supposed to be playing. And then they start over, which I'm glad they did. But you hear dun dun, then you hear ooh, dun dun while she's walking down, and they didn't cut it out. Which I guess you can't really
Yeah,
cut it out, but
it, it was weird because it was like the bass line. Well, I guess it was because I don't know whose fault it was there. I don't know if it was the doors opening were delayed.
And that made them
And
speed it all up to.
well, and then I guess that's what made the music reset because they started playing and the door hadn't opened up. And then on like that second note, the door opened up, and then it was like, all right, let's restart real quick now that you see her or whatever. So
That could be a reason for starting over, but that doesn't take away that the first time they played it, the two of them were off from one another.
yeah. Regardless, yeah, there's
That's why I
clearly
thought they
this mess
started
up
over.
in it. Yeah, it was a little strange, and
It's like da 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 da. Someone's doing that, and then the other person's going da da, and then they're like, oh.
yeah, yeah, it was yeah, but so anyway, I mean, at least they were smart enough to pick up on it and almost.
But could you imagine Sarah hearing this?
I think honestly, she's so in her head at this point. She probably didn't even like hear
Yeah,
the
maybe not.
mistake. I mean, if I had to guess, I bet you she's not even thinking about the music.
I have to
She's
say that would
totally
probably
in her
be
head.
a
Like,
funny thing to watch back on the video. Like if your marriage worked out and you
well,
watch this
yeah.
back like 5 years later, that would be like a
Yeah.
fun thing to.
I mean, the music did I think probably the best they could to fix the situation, fix the mistake.
Well, if they kept
so.
going, they would still be totally off from each other.
Right,
It'd be
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they did what they could, but
Yeah.
that was something I noticed right away. I was like, oh my gosh. Then I
Yeah,
had
well, I
to
was gonna say it sounded
replay it.
very weird when I first heard it, and then as we analyzed it more.
Yeah, I was like, no, no, no. They actually stopped completely and then they came back in. So you walk into the room and they have a very pink setup. They have pink love seats and couches and followed by singular seats. And then behind Sarah and Ben, it's like Barbie's Playhouse pink colors.
Well, yeah, it's like this pastel pink that is.
It's the pinkest
I,
wedding I've ever
I mean,
seen.
yeah, I mean, eh, there was like it didn't say if there was like any other like a secondary color, right? Normally, I mean, you have like a primary and a secondary. Like there just seemed to be no secondary color there.
I thought they made a mistake and they walked into Barbie's wedding.
Yeah, it was which I don't know. I guess is that what Sarah wanted? I guess maybe, but I mean, obviously
Yeah.
everyone's got their own taste, but it just seemed very.
It was very different
Yeah.
and it was very shocking.
Yeah, I mean,
If I
when
wanted a
they-
wedding that pink, would you have let me go with it?
no.
Would you have stood there with and then the close up of your face that the videographer
No, because
gets
that's
all the
what-
pink?
That's what made it
Okay.
just weird. I don't know. Seeing like when it was just like Ben and then the background of like the pink wall and everything, it just very looked out of place. And then I don't know, the tan suit that he had with pink, like why didn't you just go with a black suit at that point? The tan suit with the pink just like didn't.
It's too many like light
I don't know.
colors.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not. I mean, to each their own for their own whatever. However, they like their they want their wedding, but it just was. It just seemed like the colors clashed.
It was very bright.
Yeah.
We see Laura and Molly sitting together in the audience, which was nice to see that they came together.
They both show up dateless, but yes.
But with each other as friends, which
Yes,
is
yeah.
nice. So Ben starts talking at the altar and he says he lost his voice at the bachelor party. So he apologizes for that. And then he seems chipper and happy about the day. And then we cut over to Sarah and she is looking nervous, or I don't know if this is the way they cut the scenes together, but she's like shifting her eyes, looks like she's a little hesitant about things. And this is where we're left. We don't know her answer to does she or does she not want to get married to Ben. Ben didn't say his answer at all either, but she's the one who looks hesitant here.
Yeah, and there's a talking head where Ben does mention, he he's all in. He's gonna say yes. There's really nothing at this point to stop him from saying yes. So we pretty much already know Ben is gonna say yes.
So that's probably why they left the cliffhanger on Sarah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I kind of thought they were gonna have it where they were gonna ask Ben first. He would have said yes, and then they would have
Yeah, I
cliffhangered
wonder
on
why
her
they didn't do
decision.
that.
But they went with Sarah first. So that was kind of interesting.
So maybe Ben has a bigger part in this too,
No,
because
no, I think it's all on Sarah. And this was, a discussion we were having where like,
what if they both come together and they say, we both don't want to do this?
yeah, I mean that would be shocking. I would not expect that. But
Yeah.
to me, it seems like Sarah is gonna say no, only just because.
Yeah, but is this the edit? We went back and forth on this.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. Is
So let's talk about our view one way and our view the other way.
yeah, does this look like where they're just taking maybe clips of the while they're going through the ceremony, are they just grabbing clips of the ceremony
Right,
and
where she's looking at the
right, she just happens to
officiant
be
and,
looking or whatever.
or
And
is she actually hesitant and nervous?
I think it looks like she's about to tear up saying no because you see her kind of look, and then you do see where she starts looking away, and that's usually like a sign. And then at the edges of her eyes, it looks like they're starting to get red, like they're gonna cry, and it's the whole look away to try to hold back a tear or whatever.
It looks like she's not wanting to look him in the eye.
And then too with Ben when he's going over his vows, she doesn't really smile at all. She just seems to be like listening, but not really like overjoyed or like excited to hear his vows or anything.
It's almost like a fake smile that she has on. So
Yeah, like she just doesn't seem to be enjoying the moment. Like if you were there to, you're gonna say yes. Obviously, it should be like a great, this should be like one of your, greatest moments
you're
in
overjoyed,
life, right?
right?
To hear this from your partner and like you're so excited for this, and she just does not look very excited about things. Either because like she knows at this point that she's gonna say no or what, but she does not look very convinced with things. So to me, it looks like she's gonna say no because between all and then all the hype of like the family really getting in her head, and then
Yeah.
she's doubting herself. So
I think she'll say no as well. I think that's what we'll open up on next time, unless they really did something crazy with the edits to just make it look like she is so hesitant.
now there was the point that you brought up where, after he said his vows, he mentioned he was like, "Oh, I almost kissed you" or something, and then she said, "Oh, we're about to."
Right. And you do that when you both say I do. So that was the only point where I was really like, maybe they just cut all these random clips together to make her look nervous and hesitant, because why on earth would she say that while she's standing at the altar when she's about to say no?
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty terrible to know you're going to say no
So now you're changing your mind. She's going to say
then,
yes.
and then say that.
Do you think she'll say
Knowing
yes
you're
now?
gonna say no, but no.
But why did she say that then? Out of
Yeah, I
nervousness,
don't know.
maybe? I
I
don't
probably
know.
think it was just almost natural to say that, because that's what, or she doesn't want to give away, I guess, that she's gonna say no or something. But
I still think she'll say no.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I just think the reactions that she gets, because the other part too, I mean, she doesn't even get emotional during his vow part, so where she's looking away, looking like she's about to get teary eyed. That's where I was thinking too. Like, I don't think it's edited because if she was getting, overjoyed or something during the vows and was going to tear up, right? Maybe that, okay, that looks like she might say yes then. And there's no fear. But I don't think I think she is just ready to say no. So,
Well, we'll see what
but,
happens.
I think there probably wasn't as much of like a hesitation or anything with maybe the other ones. And that's why they did this one to be the the cliffhanger as well, but I don't know. We'll see.
So that means the next couples will be straightforward, maybe.
I mean, yeah, I think the rest are gonna say yes, which is why they're all in their own episode in this
Well,
one.
remember the preview with Monica just looking around like, ooh, am I going to say yes?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
yeah.
So let's go into Dave and Lauren.
Our couple who has fallen short, which I think
Ah,
everyone saw this coming.
yes. And I am happy that they are not together because this was not a good match.
This whole thing really just looked like Dave just wanted to make her end things so that he wouldn't look like the bad guy.
Exactly. So the episodes open up with Dave saying that he stayed at his own place overnight, leaving Lauren alone, which is a huge red flag. And Dave went out and got drinks with his friends at Nolos and Basement Bar. And then he tells Lauren, I ran into some people in the pods and he didn't interact with Molly, but heard she was there. So they made sure to talk about that. And Sarah says, well, I was with my parents at night and you were with your friends at bars. So two different experiences, which later we learn from a conversation that Molly's involved with that Dave was all over another woman at the bars too, which that doesn't come up out of Dave's mouth here. And that makes him look not great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean this
Just with friends at a bar. And it's the same friends that were supposed to meet Lauren. And instead of Lauren getting to meet his friends, he's just blowing Lauren off and hanging out with his friends and talking trash about the whole thing.
yeah, I mean the whole thing of him not, especially that, because all that did by not having the friends meet her that night, because I think the whole plan originally was like, I don't know if they were supposed to meet with Lauren's parents that night or if his friends were coming over and they were gonna hang out with her. I I thought it was the friends originally, but maybe it was the parents. But if it was the friends, then by not having them come over and him just going to the bar with the friends, really, I think this drove a huge stake because all that did was further, I think, put a bad taste in their mouth and just whisper more into his ear about she's really not good for you or anything like that.
And this further proves your point of Dave definitely not being fully invested in this. If you were fully invested, you wouldn't have blown off your fiance to go out to bars and then leave her alone all night long and go sleep at your own place. And you wouldn't hide her from your friends and your family while you go hang out with them by yourself. You're supposed to be joining together and starting this life together at this point. So,
Yeah, the whole hiding or the whole just
she can't meet anybody in his family thing.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, he never opened up to her really or to be willing to have the chance for her to meet his family or any friends and anyone. So, yeah, no, I mean, this seemed like he was quite checked out to begin with.
Regardless, Dave meets Lauren's mom, and Lauren's mom asks him if she can meet his dad off camera if he's not comfortable with being on the show so she can get a sense of who his family is. And Dave says, my dad's really busy and he golfs, but he'll be at the wedding. Which, what kind of response is this? This is
Yeah.
so mean.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty. It definitely felt more of like a cop out to just I don't know, not commit to the marriage or at least the wedding or just to say, oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure he'll be there for that, but
He,
are we even going to get there?
he had no intentions of
Yeah.
that happening. And Lauren's mom says, what's the deal with your sister? Like, what is she upset about here? And what are her concerns? And then Dave says, well, she's just really worried that I would get together with someone who just wanted to be famous and wasn't genuine. And Lauren's mom said, do you know who Lauren truly is? Because she's not out for fame and she really wants someone out of this. So, and I think she called her boring. She goes, Lauren's pretty boring.
Yeah, yeah.
She's not crazy.
I feel like he almost, I mean, because he constantly tells everyone, right? His sister that, or that, that's why his sister didn't want him to be on the show. But it's almost like he wanted someone like that almost instead of what Lauren was.
Yeah, he wished Lauren was like that so he would have a really good excuse. What was the point of him doing this show? To get
I don't
noticed?
know. Well, it just seemed weird because, I mean, as soon as she brought up that previous connection, that he just hung on to that and then just tried to use that like against her the entire time.
Or was it as soon as he met her, he's like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
then that was like an opening to try to cop out of this or something.
So Lauren's mom says, I'm going to put my trust in Lauren, and if you two are meant to be, I will back you both up and welcome you into the family, Dave. And that's how they end their meeting together. So then Dave and Lauren have a date in the bowling alley, and Dave says, I don't want to waste my sister's time in meeting you, which was a really weird comment to say. And then Lauren says, if you don't see it with me, I need to know this now because I'm all in and it doesn't seem like you're committed here. And then Dave says, I don't want to have this conversation here, the bowling alley. And they walk into an empty movie theater to have the breakup conversation. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the day at the beginning of it with the bowling went great. Everything was going well, and then we're back to this whole thing again, and then just ruins the entire date, and then
And
then it becomes this. Well, we don't want. Let's not talk about it here,
let's go
and then they
to an
somehow
empty
get a
movie theater.
private theater room to
Location
discuss this
change.
stuff. Yeah, like you would think, oh, they'd go somewhere more private, and they somehow get a theater room, but and then it's just Dave once again just
Why does he not want to waste his sister's time in meeting Lauren?
well that was like I cannot believe he said that. I mean, that was like a huge I
Slap in the
clearly, I guess
face.
it just showed he was already checked out and ready to just end it by that point, to say, I don't want to waste my sister's time in meeting you.
If he was all in and invested in this commitment that he made to Lauren, regardless, he would have opened up, invited her to meet his friends, his family, let them mingle and interact and to see how this is going to work. But this just shows he had no
Well, and
thought
then he
there.
mentioned that in the pods. I mean, he mentioned, his sister would probably be the hardest person to convince, but she said, I'd love to, meet her and everything. He said, yeah, that'd be great. And he was all for it in the pods. And then he completely did a 180 once they were back in the real world with it, which was
Really flipped.
really strange.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, clearly something just flipped for him afterwards. And
Then in the movie theater, he goes on again about Lauren's previous connection to the person that she was seeing, that she's no longer seeing. It's kind of just talking
yeah,
about
it's
this
just hammering the
over
same
and
thing.
over again. Yeah.
Well, actually, I did want to point out when he said, I don't want to waste my sister's time, I actually thought in my head, oh, this must be where it like ends.
Oh,
Because I
right
mean,
when he
that's
said
just
that.
like, that's like a, grave words to say. I mean, that
Yeah.
you, it's over. That, yeah. Yeah. So that was just like the end of it. For me, I was like, oh, yeah, game over. This is
That
done.
was basically like just saying, we're breaking up.
Yeah.
While he's talking about the subject again, Lauren starts sticking up for herself, just telling him how committed she has been, how he's met people in her family. She hasn't met anybody. She's been completely closed away from meeting anyone important in his life.
This is what I thought was for Dave. I mean, how do you, by you bringing this up so much and how she's constantly been willing to discuss it and just defend herself and still wanting to move on with the relationship and continue on. I mean, how does this not show you that she's genuine about this?
Right.
I mean, if she was not committed to this, then after this many times of dealing with this, I mean, wouldn't she have probably just been like, all right, forget this. This whole thing's just a waste of time.
I mean,
See you
she
later. Like,
has been humiliated in front of her friends as he talked about this.
yeah, I mean, she's constantly been put in the trenches with this whole thing and is still willing
Every
to try
day.
to work through it.
So Dave says, "This is hard for me, but it's time for me to walk away from this." And his heart thinks this is the right decision for now. And everything was so great, but then everything just fell apart because he made it fall apart. So nice speech, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, that it almost just seemed like for him it was like, man, this is just not working anymore. I just have to drop the hammer myself or something.
Well, then he says in his interview afterwards, he's sad and he's mad. He couldn't get over his ego of her seeing a guy before him.
I mean, it was like him saying, I ended this, but oh man, I'm so mad at myself that I like it was, I don't
To
know.
make him look good. To make him look good. That's why he took that ownership.
Yeah, it was just like
He thought he was going to get a wonderful edit out of this. Like, oh yeah, here I am admitting, I just had my ego in the way. I don't know. I don't know what he thought really, but
yeah.
and then he says, "Love is blind, but marriage isn't." What does this quote mean?
Yeah, I don't know. This was like a weird comment.
He's
Well,
like-
because then he was still like, oh, well, I still love her and I'm still,
He's full of
into her
crap.
and
He is
whatnot.
full of
I don't know.
crap.
The whole thing was just very
Dave,
weird.
full of crap.
And yeah, I don't know. This was just a strange interaction.
And then in Lauren's interview, she's very upset, says she put her all into this, but at the end of the day, he wouldn't let her meet any family and friends. She wrote his sister a letter about how much she can't wait to meet her and explaining her side of the story about what happened. And we learn that Dave never gave his sister the letter.
So yeah, it seems like she just was like dead on arrival. She just never had a chance to begin with.
No chance whatsoever. Dave didn't care about her whatsoever to hang on to that letter and never give it to her. Have no intentions of giving it to her. Okay, yeah, Dave doesn't want Lauren to meet his sister, but to never give her a letter explaining things to try to smooth things out or make a good introduction. Lauren put forth every effort by writing that letter. She desperately tried to get to know people.
Yeah, I mean, this was totally on Dave's side. There was nothing else Lauren could have even done anyway. I mean, because nothing would have gotten to him.
So let's go into the little reunion party because we'll talk about Dave and Lauren some more here.
Yeah.
So the 4 remaining couples that are still intact, they go tubing in the snow beforehand, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, so they go tubing here for a little bit with some disco lights and whatnot beforehand, and then they go into like a bar, and then they constantly have like this community
What is that?
wood block where all the members would take a shot at the same time, but with this same wood block that they all had to lift. I don't know, they've like really focused on
That wood
on
block,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was like I think a couple times from both the guys and girls.
A lot of
They
shots
showed it,
being had there.
but all that did was it really showed how much like alcohol was flowing that night.
Which
so.
we will talk about Dave and how this affected him too.
Yeah.
So Lauren enters the room and then Ben makes a really bad joke because they just broke up yesterday and he says, "What, Dave's not with you?" Where's Dave?
Oh yeah, this was like totally. What the heck was this?
Such ill
Which then
taste there.
Taylor confronted him and said, Ben,
This is way
too
too
soon.
soon. Yeah, I was happy Taylor said that.
Yeah, that seemed. Yeah, that was.
That was really weird. I don't know why
Yeah, that
he
was a
made a
bad.
comment
That
like
was a
that.
bad comment.
So terrible for someone who just went through a bad breakup. But
Yeah.
so we see Molly and Lauren talk to each other, and Molly tells Lauren about Dave being at that bar that she was at too, and how he was all over that woman, which Lauren had no idea about. And she tells Molly, we broke up yesterday. And she's like, yesterday. So she tells Molly about Dave's obsession with the hookup that Sarah had before the show. And Molly says, why? Was he celibate? Was he a perfect person in all of this? Did Dave have no flaws? Like, how dare he go on and on and on about this for weeks with you? She's shocked that he did that.
Yeah, so Molly's obviously taking Lauren's side in this and
Yeah.
trying to kind of, I think, ultimately just help her feel better about things and just that
To show.
it's not really her fault in
Right.
this situation, and that really in the end, in the end it's better for you this way because at least it happens now versus after marriage, and that'd be a lot worse. And
Right. And she says, Dave should have had your back. And the fact that he didn't have your back throughout all of this means that he wasn't genuine in this whole situation. So thank goodness this did come out now.
yeah,
Yeah. So she's always going to be there for Lauren, which I think is very touching and sweet. And then Molly and Dave talk, and Molly is very real with Dave, which I think she's a great person for doing this and being so loyal to her friendship with Lauren and seeing the situation for what it was too. And
well, I think so much of Molly's connection with Lauren was, I think, how well Lauren responded in the pods where, Molly didn't know Lauren was Dave's connection in the pod, and she ended up kind of spouting it out while Lauren was, in the women's quarters area, and how well Lauren took it, and then Molly felt, terrible about kind of showboating it and whatnot. And I mean, some of it was Dave's misleading of things too, but
I think she realizes what a jerk Dave has been in this whole experiment.
yeah, and then she just really felt bad about that. But yeah, I mean, the two of them have a nice connection clearly since they went to Ben and Sarah's wedding. But
Yes, but
yeah,
kudos to
they're
Molly for sticking up for Lauren the way
yeah,
she did.
and mentioning to her too about that night where she was at the bar that Dave and his friends were hanging out with, and she didn't talk to Dave, but
Intentionally, like I had nothing to do with him. But
yeah,
so Molly says to Dave, it sounds like you didn't give Lauren a chance. And Dave says, I disagree. And then Molly grills him on this. And Dave talks about how his sister finally gave him permission to go on the experiment, but did not give him permission to get engaged. Which this whole thing's really weird. He used that terminology. Why does Dave need permission from his sister to do something?
yeah, I don't. And then he tried to say after that, well, she doesn't dictate my life, but I don't know.
What is this relationship between Dave and his sister? There's just so much focus on his sister, his sister, his sister.
Yeah, it's this constant. I don't know. There's a lot of. It almost seems for Dave he doesn't like attention. Well, to himself about things or whatever. Because I don't. There's so much. It's either Lauren's previous engagement, not engagement, but connection problems, or it's the sister. The sister's just crazy and controlling, and I can't do anything without her permission. And I don't know. It's just always shifting the to somebody else's problems or things versus just coming from him directly. But yeah, there's this like concept. But I don't know. It does seem like there is some different
Weird
dynamic between them.
Yes. So Molly defends Lauren a good bit. And Dave says, it's not that easy. And, if I wanted to make things happen, I would make it happen. And Molly says, you absolutely didn't make anything happen. And this whole thing is your fault. And I will always have Lauren's back. She is my number one here. And then she leaves Dave and walks away, which I was just so happy to see what Molly did. That's a true friend and someone you can trust 100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's very genuine here,
Yeah. So
and just in general.
just in general.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see more of Molly too throughout all this. So
Yeah, yeah. And then in the previous year, they tried to almost play it like
I
we're
was
like
going to say that. Yeah.
Dave is talking to Molly now and almost wants to, he
I'm
pick.
so glad nothing like that happened. She was so turned off by Dave and how
Well,
he
especially
behaved
because
too.
right, and I mean, uh, I kind of wonder if there's internally Dave wishes he picked Molly over Lauren after like how things unfolded, and then I don't know if maybe talking there. I don't think he probably really tried to do anything there, but I wonder if there was any, regrets of that, of his decision and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, she obviously, I mean, and why would she try to do anything but stick for Lauren's side? So yeah, that was.
Well, you know how in like some previous reunions, it's like they talk about, yeah, I did like you back then, or like they make them reflect back on their time, but their conversation was wholly focused on like, Dave, you were such a jerk to
Well, and it
Lauren.
would have like just showed, yeah, especially I don't know, since they just broke up too, and then it's like the next day if he tried to almost entertain, like, oh look what a great time we had in the pods together,
But
or
Molly was
try to
like
even go that route, like
shutting any chance of that
yeah.
down. It was like, I don't even want to talk about us talking previously. Like, who cares about that? The main focus is you.
Well, and especially I think after having the conversation with Lauren, that like completely just
Right. Yeah.
made her disgusted of him. So.
Here's where we see Dave totally get super drunk. And then he has a little interview where he says, I'd love to go talk to Lauren. I wish I did things differently. And then they place Lauren and Dave together for a little interaction. And he says, it's not you, Lauren. My ego got in the way of seeing what they have. And I'm sorry about this. And she says, I've been giving 150% and you've been giving me nothing back. And Dave says, I know this is real, but as he's talking, he's slurring his words. And I thought this was the most slurring of words I've really heard on this season so far.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's liquored up here quite a bit. His eyes were quite dilated. I mean, hers were too. They're both definitely at a tipsy level, if not. I mean, Dave is definitely beyond that, but then too, this was like, I think this whole conversation almost got sparked over, or at least for him trying to engage it was purely like the alcohol talking this whole time.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's
Because then
feeling
he's like,
emotional about it.
right, he feels terrible about it, and it's like you just broke up yesterday, and then you're now trying to almost play this. I'm sorry, I should have done that. Like, take me back, and
And I'm so happy with the way Lauren reacted. And she did not take him back or even entertain any idea of taking him back.
yeah,
Thank goodness.
yeah, yeah. No, she did a good job.
Yeah. So that closes Dave and Lauren. Thank goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, no, this finally like nips it in the bud, and it's like a good clean break after this. It seems like.
Yes.
So
Goodbye, Dave and Lauren.
we'll see. I don't know. Maybe a reunion. He will try to swoon her over again or something.
It will never work. He blew
I don't know. I
it.
feel like it's gonna be him trying to play this whole thing of, oh, it's all my fault. I really screwed up or something. She'll be the one that got away, or I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But
Yeah. We'll see if he takes any accountability. on the
Yeah.
reunion. So let's move on to Brittany and Devin. So they see each other for the first time, and Devin has like no connection to her anymore at this point.
Yeah, so they have a discussion, and then here the preview alludes to, them almost having like a spark or something, which they flipped to a scene where, or just a quick little shot where Virginia gets a smirk because it looks like Brittany and Devin go talk, but I don't even think I saw that smirk it
No,
shown.
it
Like
was
that
like
was like a cut in the preview clip, and then it
they were
wasn't even in the
crafty
main clip.
because Virginia wasn't even
But there
looking
was
at them.
nothing
And
even
there's
there.
zero sparks at
Yeah.
all. It was just like two
Which I mean, you kind of
cordial
knew
people.
because I mean, especially the way it ended in the pods. I mean, there's no way it was gonna rekindle, like,
No, not at all.
because yeah, there's
But they wanted to make you think like, oh, Virginia's looking over her shoulder at their conversation.
yeah, or maybe something happens to Reese, but yeah, I mean, it was like
They interacted. She says, "Oh, you look like a little kid."
yeah, I mean, they just looked like they could be friends or something.
Well,
But
like distant like friends because Devin's like still keeping his distance a lot.
or well, yeah, I guess I should be just more amicable, I guess,
Yeah.
because they could get along talking to each other, but I mean, they're not gonna like keep up a friendship or anything like that. But
Remember Britt said, "We could all be friends."
yeah,
Not
like
this
the end
time,
of it, but
in the beginning.
yeah.
So she does say that, I thought your reaction, Devin, to my news was immature. She had
Yeah,
to
that,
get
that was
in
like the
there.
main thing she wanted
She
to
wanted to say it, trying to
have,
lay it out.
in the conversation.
And Devin said, "Well, I think it worked out for us the way it was supposed to be, didn't it?"
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much for him to really
He didn't like apologize
just
for his
say,
reaction
yeah.
or anything. It's just like, well, things worked out the way they were supposed to. And she says, "Yep. Well, I'm happy for you." Yep. And that was their whole conversation.
Yeah, it was very uneventful.
Very uneventful. But we see Meg and Mason walk in holding hands, and they rekindled things.
Yeah, so we hear Meg say she's like trying to find him, or they ended up actually they both were trying to find each other. I guess she found him.
As soon as they got their phones back, they're trying to get in touch with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they apparently talk outside of, well, I guess because for them the show was over. They talk, and now I guess they're dating. It seems like they are, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, they said, we're taking it day by day, but we're dating and figuring things out. And I think they make a nice couple. So I'm glad they got together.
Yeah, well, it was nice, I guess, of Meg to take a chance and have Mason or for them to have at least the chance of it.
Yeah.
Which I would say, yeah, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, the shows are like you're back in the real world. Like, I mean,
like, let's actually be in
this
the
whole
real world and
drama of
try
like
it
this
out.
love triangle thing, like this
It's
was
not
like a pod
realistic.
specific thing. Yeah, like you're back in reality. Like, just give it a shot. Who cares?
Right. And I'm sure Mason felt bad about the way things ended, and it was just
Yeah.
an intense conversation that they left on. And yeah, so it sounds like they're moving on from that, and they really enjoy each other's company, and I think that's good for them.
Yeah, yeah.
They also did their own reveal, and they filmed it, which was interesting.
That was like I meant to actually, well, see, or maybe I like.
Is there video of it online? I
Yeah,
would love to see
is that on one of their social media accounts or something
We have
now
to
that like
look.
the episode aired or something?
We have to look. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking, man, to take that and then have to hold on to that for like
A
a year or
year.
whatever before you could finally post it. I mean, yeah, that was like interesting that they.
Which I'm
Which, 'cause
sure
I
they
don't
know
even
what each other
know-
look like.
Right, yeah, especially if it was like a social media talk. I mean, obviously they had like profiles, so it wasn't even like, I guess, yeah, in the for the first time in person, you could still, I mean, you already
Yeah.
at least have an idea.
idea.
Of the thing.
Right.
But yeah, I
That
mean,
was
I guess it still
interesting.
could be, it's still a thing. So, because obviously a picture is still different from meeting in person. So,
Definitely. So we see Madison, and she walks in with pink hair, and she seems very bitter about the whole experiment And she says, I'm glad Mason and I did not end up together. The way he acted was an ick to her. And she says she also met Alex at the airport. And
This whole thing seemed weird because she tried to, they like reinitiate the Mason conversation, and then she says that Alex was like totally throwing Mason under the bus, like he was like, forget him, and
she had nothing but negative things to say about everything.
yeah, which I don't really. I mean, it sounds like there's probably no, there's truths from both of their sides. I mean, they didn't have Alex talk any about like his point of view from that conversation. We only hear Madison's side of it because I mean she's talking to Meg or one of the other girls about it, but
Or Lauren, yeah.
yeah,
I think Lauren was just like the one person she picked to talk to, and Lauren actually looked uncomfortable being in this conversation with Madison just trashing a bunch of people.
yeah,
She was like, "Yes, okay, yes."
yeah, because and that's where I was thinking. I don't know. It seemed like her story might be a little skewed because she's very much just saying, "Well, Alex was totally." It seems like now once he saw me, he was like totally into me and like
Yeah,
wanted to have a relationship and
he was
trying to
all over
backtrack a lot
me.
of what he was saying
Yeah,
in the pods
and he was all against Mason.
yeah, which I don't.
It's like toxic energy that I don't think a lot of people wanted to be around.
Yeah,
But I think Lauren just happened to be the one
yeah,
person that she pulled to talk to you about this, but Lauren wasn't feeding into it. And that was really all from Madison.
yeah. And then I mean, Alex shows up but they didn't even really. I don't think there was actually there's nothing of him really. They like showed him walking in and like that was it.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing.
There was like nothing else from him
No.
that they even aired. So clearly he was very uneventful. And I guess they didn't talk to each other like him and Madison or anything. So, but
Yeah, because that whole thing fell apart after they met, I guess.
yeah,
But
or especially I guess if the LA thing sounds like that one really went down the drain as well. So
yeah.
and then her talking about the massive liar thing is about just Alex in general.
I think people
So
are probably just trying to avoid being tied into Madison
yeah,
and this
right.
conversation.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, this whole reunion, I mean, the preview like really
Blew it
acted like it
way
was
out of
gonna go like
proportion.
insane, and then it really
Like
was like
Alex and Mason be
super mellow.
fighting over Madison
Yeah.
at the reunion.
Yeah, like it was a total opposite of what the
Super mellow. Nothing really happened
yeah,
besides what Madison
yeah. I think the one from
talked
last season
about.
was more aggressive, at least with like the whole Nick and Hannah drama.
Oh,
That was
yes.
like a lot more
Way more
spicy
drama.
than
Way more
anything
drama.
from this one.
We
Yeah, this
have
had nothing.
we have Dave slurring his words and now trying to see if Lauren will ever come back, and she won't.
Yeah,
Then we have Madison saying a bunch of things and no one responding to it. And that was it
wow.
for that. But so we're closer to wedding day for all of these couples that are remaining. And the women try on dresses and have some sweet moments together. And one thing I noticed, it didn't look like Monica's sister was there for the dress try ons, which I would have thought that she would have been there. I think Monica's mom was, but
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. I don't. It didn't seem like she was, which I don't know. Maybe
why
a
not?
work
Why not?
engagement or something. But
Maybe.
yeah, it seems like she would have been there. I'm guessing there must have been like a reasonable, I guess.
Maybe she had a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And something that was really sweet was Daniel's mom and Taylor's mom were both there together for Taylor. I thought that was really nice that they came
Yeah. Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, see, I mean,
Their
like
family's so
their families get
supportive and
along. They get
nice.
along. Like they're just
What a sweet bonding
there's
moment that
nothing
is.
yeah.
Your mom-in-law and your mom there
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. I mean, they mesh very well together.
Very sweet. And then nothing really eventful came from the guys trying on the suits. Remember last time Ramses was like, "Yeah, I want a short pant leg," and like they focused in on like the design of suits and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I feel like this part of the show is like the
Boring.
most
Yeah.
uneventful.
Now
just-
you see why I normally like fast forward
Yeah.
through some of these parts.
I feel like this part went faster than like last season's though. I feel like they
It did,
emphasized this
yeah.
a lot more in last season, where there was just. I feel like this was like. I mean, this was still almost like in my mind too much, but I don't know. At least for maybe somebody else, it was like just enough of it to at least see it, but then move on quickly because there's just nothing here to really show.
Yeah,
so.
nothing eventful. And then it's time for the bachelor and the bachelorette parties, and the guys go to the Vikings training facility and play some football for their event. And the ladies go to the Mall of America and dress up as older people as their theme. And they ride a carousel, a roller coaster, and do some fun things there. So at least they weren't in the basement like they were in season 7.
Yeah.
Bachelorette
It still
party.
seems like the guys' things are like much more over the top than the.
They always go to some sport
girls'
thing or
side.
something.
Yeah, I mean, last season they got some box tickets and then they got access to a private training facility. I mean, it's like.
But the girls got the whole mall.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely seems like a step up from last.
Well, step up from the basement for sure.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah. But.
What do you think about the elderly theme? They're wearing
Yeah, I don't know. That seemed
white wigs
strange.
and
I didn't get that, but.
I kind of like that it was different than your typical bachelorette party.
Yeah, yeah.
At least it was different. And then we noticed there was one guy there too. And he wasn't like with the theme. I think he was just dressed regular. But
I thought he had a walker, or was that just one of
really?
the others? Yeah.
I just noticed his hair looked
I thought he had
regular
a
and-
single cane, and that was it.
Oh, that would be cool if he
But
did.
maybe it was
Maybe you're right.
one of the other girls. But
Yeah, so that's it. And we're going to see what happens with the remaining couples.
yeah, so I guess basically next episode is just everybody else's wedding day, and we'll see the conclusion of Ben and Sarah's. and-
Yes, so we'll see all the weddings.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of A Fine Podcast.
Yeah, we hope you liked it. And if you haven't already, check us out on our social medias.
Yes,
And-
Instagram, Facebook, X,
Yeah.
YouTube.
Like and subscribe
TikTok.
if you'd like to. And we will see you in the next week where we continue on.
Bye.